if AI agents are the next evolution beyond that, we're talking about, if something like this even were going to happen, we're talking about decades. Even as fast as things are moving, if there was going to be a switch like that, it's way down the road.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show, and Happy New Year. For this year, we are bringing a lot of different programming, and this particular show is part of that as well. This is the Analyst Gone Wild, and we are bringing experts from all over the community, in the analyst community. They have their expertise, and we are going to be critiquing on many different stories. Our goal is that this is probably going to be a monthly show, which is going to be second Thursday every month. So this is our first one. So what we are going to do is we are going to start with everybody's intros first, and then we are going to dig right into the stories. So just about me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the analyst and advisory firm. I have been in this space for roughly 20 years, covering anything related to enterprise software. I have been featured in many leading publications, I guess. You probably have seen me in Accounting Today, Solutions Review. What else I'm missing? Tech Target. I don't know. I mean, there are like a million. So I will move to you guys. Okay, do you guys want to introduce yourself?
No.
No? Okay, Thomas, you go first then.
Thomas Liebernight, I had CRM, so I'm CRM since before the term exists. So I'm doing that in that industry since 1995. So we did Salesforce automation at that time, or marketing automation, service automation, but not CRM. And now we are doing CRM. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Thomas. Robert, do you want to go next? We'll go, what is this?
Sure.
Clockwise?
Robert Kramer with More Insights and Strategy. I'm Vice President and Principal Analyst there. My background is revolves around ERP, SCM, enterprise data, and data protection. I've been in the enterprise resource planning field probably for about 20 plus years. I'm an ex-CMO and then been an analyst for the last couple of years. Looking forward to kind of going back and collaborating with the folks on the call here about the space, especially CRM versus ERP. Right, Thomas?
Hey, John Santaferraro here, calling in from my home in Tuscany. I'm in the data and analytics space for over 30 years now, and the head research analyst at Ferraro Consulting, covering artificial intelligence as it emerges, especially in the data and analytics world, tied to ERP through the analytics. You got to have the analytics. You got to have the AI, the RPA. Glad to be here, Sam.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, John. Sashi, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Shashi Belamkonda. I'm Principal Research Director at the Infotech Research Group. I've been with the company for about 2 years, but before that, I have about 20 years experience in technology marketing. At one time, people called me the most tech-savvy CMO they've seen. So I'm really here. I cover the marketing tech stack and the integration into AI. Plus, we also do research and advisory. So very happy to be here.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And we'll probably find out who's going to be more tech-savvy CMO here, whether Robert or Shashi. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. And in the audience, if you're joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your any sort of stories or comments that you can, comment. We at WBS Rocks, we are a big fan of creating this three-way conversation. I'm a big fan of Clubhouse. I don't know how many people were at Clubhouse. I wish that was there. And with Clubhouse, one of the advantages was that anybody could speak. You can replicate the same experience here as well. You can talk as we are talking, and we are going to be talking back to you as you provide your comments. So that's it. Now I'm actually going to bring our stories if you guys are ready.
Great.
Okay, perfect. So the first one, and I'm actually gonna change the view a little bit, and maybe this one is probably going to be better so that everybody is visible. I don't know if you guys can see the story completely. Yeah, so this one, I'm actually going to provide a little lead off on this story. But before that, from my perspective, guys and team, I'm going to provide a little positioning of where in my head, where you guys are positioned and where I would love to see your inputs. So number one, I guess, Shashi, I'm going to count on you for the marketing and any sort of IT advice and the stories. Hopefully you can comment on that. John, you are going to be my data and AI sort of guy. Robert, you are primarily ERP, secondary data. That's your focus. And Thomas, you are going to be the most technical guy on this panel. Okay, so I'm going to be counting
I shouldn't have studied computer science.
We'll check everybody's credentials afterward, degrees, no background checks here. Okay, so you are going to be my CRM guy as well as any sort of technology development. So on that note, I guess I'm going to start with this story. And this one is a very interesting story, Databricks. And this is a very catchy headline. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to agree with that. But as such, there's not much in the story. And the reason why I feel that there is not much in the story is because 90% of the companies, if you look at it in the market, I don't think they are going to be confident about 2024, 2025, just because of the kind of market this is. This is not the best market to do the IPO. The reason why this is such a big headline is because Databricks is hot. They are raising so much that I don't think any company can do that. And that's why everybody's like, okay, you have raised so much, so you should go for IPO. Now, where I would like to hear something from you guys is, I don't know how much background you have in these two companies, right? Snowflake was very hot. And I don't know, Robert, when they were doing the whole ServiceNow to your Snowflake transition with respect to your Frank Slootman was the CEO, I believe. You guys can correct me if I'm off here. He went, and that was a big story because Bill McDermott, he moved from SAP to ServiceNow. That was a crazy story. So that was a very interesting market movement. And now, obviously, Frank is gone from Snowflake. I don't know what is happening there. So maybe you guys can talk a little bit about where Snowflake is as of today. Why is Databricks so hot? Traditionally, Snowflake, Databricks, I don't know if they are the hottest AI companies, but for whatever reason, people are saying that, Databricks is probably the hottest AI company right now. Again, you won't look at them as the AI company, but they are kind of hot. So these are some of the layers that I, want to kick off the discussion. So I don't know who want to go first.
Sam, I'm gonna jump in. I've been covering both of these companies since they were born, so and watching them, right? So and I have to say bravo to Databricks for not pushing for the IPO. They're both the hot platform companies. They're claiming to be AI companies. They are at the data layer and building up from there, and they're the two hottest data platform companies in the world of artificial intelligence. So that's at a base level. Now, fortunately, the Databricks had a chance to watch Snowflake IPO. Snowflake IPO'd in August of 2022 at 158 a share. Do you know where they're at today? 155. And so you look at what has happened, you look at what has happened with Snowflake and Databricks, Snowflake, very similar platforms coming from a different technology perspective, very similar value propositions, very similar stack, very similar partnerships, and neck. If I was the CEO of Databricks, I might hold off as well, because I've been watching Snowflake, and I want to IPO when I can soar.
Yeah.
And there he is gone.
Okay. Yeah. While we wait for John to come back, I actually was following a company called Mosaic ML, and a few months after I had a briefing from them, Databricks bought them. I think that's a power that they're not really talking about, because it let them escalate from being a data company into AI very fast. But since we are talking about the IPO, maybe they are waiting to integrate fully into every aspect of their platform before they go into an IPO. That could be something. John, are you back?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I didn't know I dropped out.
Yeah. We didn't hear your words of wisdom, probably the last 2-3 sentences.
No problem. I was just saying that if I was the CEO, I would wait until AI is established and they have a leadership position there, and then their IPO can soar up and not be flat for a couple of years.
100%. That's why I was talking about their Mosaic ML acquisition. That'll probably help them do what you're saying.
Yeah. And I couldn't care less about whether they IPO or not, because ultimately that doesn't really matter, apart from, well, economic reasons. Yeah. Why are they so good and so important is, like everybody else, especially in an AI world, needs a good data foundation. Salesforce builds its data lake, well, they call it data cloud. SAP is trying to harmonize all their applications on a data graph, so basically a physical is good, a logical representation of the data. Databricks, Snowflakes, and a couple of other ones are basically replicating the same independently as a data lake. Yeah, harmonizing all data so that it can get analyzed better. So this is the value proposition, and this becomes even more important.
Yeah.
The rest, I know, put it derogatively, is greed. Simple as.
I mean, I think this gives Databricks substantial financial flexibility, though.
Right.
You know, that they can invest and grow and have market dominance, which they already have, but will continue to have, and their competitive advantage with analyzing large data sets as they continue to grow, to keep their talent. But the IPO, I agree with all you guys. I still think there's some issues with data and bringing data from other sources, and is that data ready? I think there's a lot of companies that aren't ready for this amazing technology, but the ones that are taking advantage of it. But that's a different subject matter.
And this is where they probably need to invest a little further, ingesting data.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very interesting comments, and I don't know if you guys have any other follow-up comments, but one of the things that have not been touched so far in the story is two IPOs that were really hot, and I don't know how much background you have in those two companies, which is your Reddit as well as your ServiceTitan. I am personally a big fan of ServiceTitan. That was one of the hottest company I wanted to see IPO, which is very successful. Obviously, Reddit right now is very successful as well. Right now Google is kind of struggling with the advertising business model, but Reddit has done really good. I really wish that other companies followed whatever Reddit is doing, especially LinkedIn, but they have not done it, and that's why I was very confident on that. So maybe touch from these lenses that, okay, these two companies have done well, and maybe Databricks would have done that too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know which is going to be the right decision. So anybody is going to have any follow-up comment there by any chance on that?
The only other thing I'd add is that it keeps them from a quarter-to-quarter measurement that you have once you go public. I'm sorry, but it changes the way that you have to approach the business. And so if Databricks could raise the money that they raised without going public, that benefits them of not being in that tight quarter-to-quarter way of doing business.
Yeah, but then they have VCs in there, which probably are as sharp and as keen as the quarterly reporting requirements. So kudos to them that they are able to raise that much funds. However they are doing it, doesn't really matter actually.
I'm gonna have to agree with John. I mean, if you are a public company, I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal. Yeah. I know that those seasoned investors, they are probably going to be equally brutal. But public companies is a nightmare to run. Any other comments, guys, before I move on to the next one? No. No? Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay. So this is probably the hottest headline that we have. And Thomas, I know you have written your article as well. We would probably should have that article here, I guess, because you had very strong opinion about what this is. And I'm going to have to agree with you, to be completely honest, because the comment, and I mean, this has been a lot of back and forth between Salesforce, Microsoft, who else is in the whole AI agent game, I guess. These two primarily, I mean, they are doing a lot of commentary, which is wonderful. I love rivalries, right? This is what creates the category in the market definition. So AI agent, no doubt, is hot. The question is SaaS going to be dead? I'm used to hearing that ERP is dead. Okay, I'm not ready yet to hear SaaS is dead. But in my personal opinion, those two are not dead yet. Thomas, I'll start with you. I know that you have written very strongly about this.
So talking about that, I heard in 2003 that CRM is function complete. So there are basically lots of zombies around. So now we have one more. What is SaaS? SaaS is a business model. It's a delivery model. So I call utter BS on this headline. So what will change is the way applications are built, not the way how they are delivered. Yeah. So what this headline basically suggests is we are going all back to on-premises software, which is, well, a funny proposition. Yeah. So we'll change the way they are delivering. We are building, not delivering. We are changing the way of pricing, because if there's no seat that I can sell, because there's an agent, I probably can't sell seats. I need to sell something else. And there's some hope that this change leads to finally coming to some pricing that is a bit more outcome or value orientated. Knowing that many CFOs don't like unpredictable prices, but then, hey, they are doing consumption pricing as well, or swallowing consumption pricing as well. So there will be changes, but these changes are totally different than what this thing suggests. And look at it the other way around. If John Doe had said it, nobody would have cared.
Robert, I'm pretty sure you are going to have comment on this one as well. Obviously, one follow-up comment on Thomas's comment that consumption price, people might think that is very predictable, but actually it is unpredictable, to be completely honest. Okay, even the whole SaaS game is very unpredictable for companies. Traditionally, the way software was delivered, that's where the predictability was, I guess, because you didn't have as many variables. But the reason why I believe in this is because the transaction applications, I guess, I don't know if that's the right framing, they matter. They matter. AI is not there to replace, and I think, John, you had some comment on that as well. So, Robert, I'm going to start with you first. The whole notion of this transactions or transactional applications, why they matter and why AI is not going to replace. AI is probably going to replace the interface. I think, Thomas, you have written about that as well, that it's going to be the way you are going to be interacting with the applications. The fundamental business rules are not going to change. These transactional applications are not going to change. So, Robert, I'll start with you first and then maybe John.
Yeah, I think the whole goal is to modernize your operations, right? And so I think a lot of these companies are saying different ways to do it. And you have to modernize or you're going to get passed up by your competitors. So is it the transactional applications? Is it SaaS? Is it dead? Is it a hybrid model, which I think it's always going to be a hybrid model? And I think AI agents will help these companies modernize because the transactions that are happening within these ERP systems or other systems will be able to be more efficient and more strategic. The workers can be the resources within those systems. But I don't know if this article or it means a lot, like Thomas is saying, because at the end of the day, I think how do we modernize these 2/3 of these enterprises globally to be more modern? Are they on-prem? Are they hybrid? Are they SaaS? Are they something else? Because at the end of the day, we just need them to modernize because they're going to be left in the dust. Now, just in closing, the consumption-based pricing, I'm a huge fan of it. So I'd love to debate that another time. But the reason why it's a great type of pricing, if you can have your minimums that companies have to buy each month, it gets more people on the systems. When you traditionally buy a couple hundred licenses and you give them out to different users, you can't get the input that you need from a system that's an operational, modern operation that you can with consumption pricing. Now, if that model can be done and monitored correctly, I do think it's a win.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to jump in. The problem, I think, with his statement is when he starts talking about how the core business logic is now going to reside not in the applications, but in the AI agents. And really, what's going to happen? We've already seen the evolution that's going to lead to an AI agent revolution. We've seen analytics become important with ERP. Then we saw process mining because we realized we had all that digital data and people began to mine the processes. And then we went to robotic process automation, and some of those business processes were actually automated. Well, yes, the next evolution is an AI agent, and some of the logic will come from the AI agent, but it's not going to reside in there. It's still going to reside in the operational component of the application where people are interacting with it. And there will be some interaction with AI agents, but the idea that all of the business logic is going to shift up into AI agents, that does not make any sense.
But aren't we putting the cart before the horse? Because the data management is what we need to focus on. Yeah. How many of these 2/3 of those companies that I just mentioned have their data in order? How many have their change management in order? Don't we need to go there before we get to the point? Does John Doe, as Thomas mentioned, who owns a large manufacturing company in Louisiana, care about AI agents right now? Or does he need to get his change management, his data management, and then we can talk about modernization and some of these great types of technologies?
Even from a vendor perspective, so they have a tremendous amount of business logic built right now. Whether it's good or bad, no judgment at all. Mm-hmm. But to move into what he suggests there is, what does it basically mean? Throw it away and redo it. This is not the value proposition of an agentic world. It's not. So on the other hand, you just said it, we have RPA, we have process mining, add on low code, no code. And now we have very smart analytics. Combine that. With that, we probably have the proposition of doing smart applications that suggests where there are bottlenecks within the existing processes and suggest fixes to that, or even implements it if you are going to be, well, strongly opinionated or adventurous. So but redoing something that exists, selling that to adventurous customers who are willing to trade predictable software, including all their bugs, which are, after all, predictable as well, with something that is probabilistic, it's not going to happen. So the real changes will be on the interface, how we interact with the applications.
I agree with that. Also, I think this headline is very sensational. I didn't read much into that, except the companies that own the data today or are connecting to the data today are going to be the winners in this, because now they have the power of delivering the data to the users as quickly as possible and keeping all the business rules and the business process intact. What that will mean is if you're only providing a very point solution of creating dashboards or business intelligence without owning the data for the customer, you're probably going to have less customers in future with the agents coming in. That's the way I look at this.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for your inputs. And Robert, I think we are going to have to recruit John in the ERP camp. Not many people get ERP, but I think he does get it. So kudos
Sam,
to you, John.
Sam, real quick, because this is interesting data, right? The ERP market right now is at about 80 billion. The RPA is at about 14 and a half. And if AI agents are the next evolution beyond that, we're talking about, if something like this even were going to happen, we're talking about decades. Even as fast as things are moving, if there was going to be a switch like that, it's way down the road.
Yeah. So, John, here's what we want from you. Okay, we want those numbers in a post because we really want to see them. Okay, where that is going, and maybe you can talk about your prediction as well. So we'll get to that. Now, I'm actually going to talk to my audience just for a second, and we have some really interesting comments here. And after that, I would love to see your analysis on these comments. And by the way, we have representation from Microsoft as well in the room. So let's see how they are taking this headline and if they have any sort of clarification. And we'll touch on this again if you want to revise your commentary. Okay, so we have Frederick. He's joining from Norway. Thank you so much for joining, Frederick. And by the way, if you don't know him, he's from Microsoft. Follow him. Amazing guy. You will love him. Sarita, one of the best in the community from Sugar CRM. Sarita, thank you so much for joining. Follow her. One of the best. We have Thomas as well. So Thomas is chatting. He's a Superman. Okay.
Multitasking.
Multitasking. Okay.
I got my agent.
You have AI agent, 3 of them running in parallel. No cost involved. Okay, we have Robin. Robin is amazing as well. She's part of the community. Follow Robin. One of the best. Okay, so we have some comments from Sarita. Okay, we have one more. Babalish. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for joining. I don't think we have Matt. But follow him. He looks amazing. We have one more LinkedIn user. I don't know who that person is. We have one more comment from Robin. Okay, so here's what I want to touch on. Okay, so Frederick is saying Satya did not say SaaS is dead. Okay, at least that's how media is positioning. He said we are going to try and collapse the business logic into the agentic layer, and the traditional business applications would be CRUD layers. So I'll give you some background, I guess. And I don't know if media sort of mistook his comments, because when I look at where he was speaking to the CDO magazine, if I'm correct here in my quoting. And CDO is going to be a very data world. They are generally anti-transactional, anti-SaaS, anti-ERP. So not sure if the messaging was to sort of please the data community, which is completely fair, right? I mean, we are all marketers, and sometimes we need to position to the interest of the community. And I don't know if media sort of mistook his comments. But this is a very interesting comment. So I'm going to touch on some more, and then you guys can provide your assessment. We'll probably come back to these comments if you are going to have any sort of counter comment on any of that.
We already got Frederick to some extent. A business application is far from being a CRUD layer. A business application has a considerable amount of logic that is codified in either directly in the application or via some workflow tools, or even via rules. Naming that a CRUD layer is probably very database driven. So this is funny. So, and then having said that, this logic exists. It needs a very bold vendor to throw it all away, redo it, to deliver that at an attractive pricing to someone who is bold enough to use it, to be the guinea pig. So I don't see it. Sorry. Dan,
here.
comment as well. Dan did a very good comment as well on that.
Yeah, so I'm coming to that. I don't know if anybody is going to have any other comments. I want to make sure you guys are able to talk if you want to talk. No. Okay. All right. So we can come back to those if you guys want to talk later. So one more comment from Robin. We have one from Thomas. So Thomas is saying this is the soundbite if it got translated to, and looking at MS, SF, and all the other ones. By the way, Frederick, is all over the internet, I guess. He is doing a lot of comments on Salesforce. So, but they are very interesting to follow, guys. So you need to follow him. There is no collapsing anytime soon, as they would need to totally rebuild their software stack. Thomas, I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't know if other folks are going to agree, but you are right.
Look at what Salesforce did. They didn't put a layer around it. So essentially, they didn't collapse, but they enhanced complexity for good reasons. So, because this is the only way you can start doing it without disrupting your software.
Okay, so if we don't have any other comments from the team, I'll keep going here. There will most likely be a transition period, and we are far away from do my financial posting based on local regulatory laws. So the input layer into the journals orders is the first to go. Robert, I'm pretty sure you are going to have some comments. John, you are probably going to have some comments as well, but ERP is not going anywhere. AI agents might be there embedded as part of that. The business logic is not going anywhere. The transactional integrity has to be there. Data integrity has to be there. AI is not very good at data integrity. It might be good at gathering the intelligence, providing the information, but not transactional applications. Robert, John, do you have any comment?
Well, don't you think companies, if you kind of go back to those 2/3 of the businesses on premise, don't you think that they need to trust AI agents before they go all in on anything? Yep. Like they're saying here? I mean, if I owned a business, a large manufacturing company, I'm going to need to make sure I have my strategies in place, my data management in place. Who doesn't want to be more successful, or who doesn't want to be more efficient? Any tools that are out there, I'm in. But we have to be able to, what are we going to do if my data is not right and then the AI agents aren't working according to plan? And my technology stack, my only goal is to make it more efficient, to reduce the number of vendors, to make it more efficient. And if what Microsoft is proposing is a partial way there, then sure. But I think we have to go backwards before we go forwards. And then when we go forwards, if it's on the list, then it's on the list. Yeah. I don't know. John, what do you think?
Yeah, and I'm not going to switch my position, but I will say that what Microsoft is doing is trying to help us understand how will the application layer work with the agentic layer. And the challenge is that the agentic layer hasn't been defined yet. And nobody has a solid agentic layer, for example, agentic layer that has the guardrails in place to do governance over AI agents when they start to act autonomously and collaborate and form new alliances with other agents and come up with objectives that weren't even the original objectives of those agents. Nobody has put anything together to that extent. As far as I'm concerned, in the near future, and we don't even know what the far future is, but in the near future, the application layer remains as the guardrails for the agentic layer. So it's got to stay in place, and it's incredibly important.
Yeah, paramount.
I'm amazed, John. Your understanding of the whole application data layer, incredible. Not many people understand that, and especially with AI, it's very confusing. I am not comfortable giving my credit card to any AI agent whatsoever. In fact, I'll tell you a story from LinkedIn. Okay, the other day, and this is becoming really crazy right now. I don't know whether you guys have experienced this or not. On LinkedIn, I think I was talking to Bill Nestel. He's part of Epicor ERP ecosystem. If you don't know him, follow him, on LinkedIn. So he was talking to me, and somebody commented some random comment, some troll, I guess, about him. And he was trying to respond, and the person who was responding, his profile was going somewhere. I don't know where. Okay, when I clicked on it, it was going to Bill's profile. I don't know whether that was AI agent or whatever that was. So these things are already as part of LinkedIn. I don't know if we have cybersecurity expert here, but it could be anything. So I'm scared. I don't know about you. And when you talk about financial applications, are you gonna give control to AI agents seriously? No. Follow-up comments?
You probably often don't know whether you interact with one or not. And in some instances, it perfectly makes sense. Look at all those service scenarios we have, which is probably one of the most widely used application areas for independent agents. We are doing deflection, call deflection forever. And now we are just doing it in a smarter way. And in a service scenario, for me personally, I don't really care whether I interact with an agent or with a human, as long as as long as I get my solution fast, efficiently, without much friction. So if that works, great. And if you look at Zendesk, they were proposing already in May, I think last year, Zendesk Relate, 80% of all service interactions will be fully automated. And they put a corresponding bet with the pricing model behind it. If I look at this year, end of this year, or end of last year, actually, already 1 year further, Salesforce says the same. And they are putting some proof points behind it for some limited scenarios. Genesis says similar things. So all of them actually say that it's possible for some clients in some areas to very far automate these scenarios. And that's valid. And it's based on guardrails, because it's fairly limited on the knowledge base that they have. And it's based upon what is even more important, human ways of interacting with systems.
It's change management. I mean, is anybody set up with change management? As I said, 15 minutes ago, that change management is gigantic, and it's kind of like scurried over most of the times. But if my company's not ready for this, how am I going to prepare them without a change management strategy? I mean, Sam, me and you have talked many times. Transformation is not challenging necessarily. It's only challenging when change management isn't put together correctly or in order for the implementations. I've done a lot of implementations, and the vendor isn't making the mistakes necessarily. It's the company, because they're not ready, or they think it's no big deal, and they think they're sold on features versus functionality. And this is one of those cases where it's features versus functionality. And I think that's happening by most vendors today, because it's the shiny new red car, but I don't know how I'm going to get there if I don't have my change management in place.
I agree.
Would you all agree with this? I think agents are being used very successfully in customer service, especially external facing, that has all the guardrails. And as John said, there's nobody who's produced one for internal use with everything, with all the rules and guardrails in place, right?
I think high level.
Yeah.
And it will also be used increasingly for marketing purposes. It's not only about content creation, creating mediocre texts and blog posts, but also about actually interacting with clients directly or indirectly. Look at some scenarios that you can do right now for yourself. So do some research on a company, use Perplexity for that. You are getting very, very good results, because the search engine behind it is awesome. Yep. So now put that into something like Notebook LM and do the research on it to narrow it down in a very confined and guardrailed environment. The output is an attack plan for an ABM strategy. And this can be fully automated. Let's say widely automated. I'm a bit drinking this Kool-Aid as well, but you can do awesome scenarios with it, even in marketing, and say, well, this marketing sales intersection, but still. So and this will come. This will come. Actually,
that's a good use case.
So we will see agents. We will see lots of logic caused by agents, we probably will start off with functionality as opposed to features, which is a good point, with functionality that is not yet there in the systems. And we will see it less at the business logic layer, or well, at sides, at the edges of business logic layers that add on valuable features for users, be they internal or external users. And from there on, we may or may not claw our ways into the core applications. Where I would put my bet on is that we are getting more smart applications that help us improve the applications themselves by identifying bottlenecks, by identifying deadlocks, friction, and fixing it easier.
Yeah, I mean, to Sam's point, you're already giving your credit card to AI agents, because most financial institutions, when you talk to them, you're probably talking or at least interacting with something that's not a human being, right? And it's probably doing a better job with security.
Yeah, and swiping it somewhere. Who knows what happens at the swipe? We are doing that forever.
So, Sashi, as long as I can sue them, I'm completely comfortable. There's no problem at all. Okay, where I'm not comfortable is my own mistakes, I guess. I don't know who I'm going to sue.
The company. I mean, there's always this talk about risk. Yeah. So having an AI agent do something to or with my client exposes me to some risk. Of course it does. But where's the difference from having you, John, or I do the same interaction? We may do things wrong as well. Same thing. Who is liable? The company is liable. And why do I perceive it as a risk? Well, because I trust Sam, John, Thomas, and I don't trust my AI. So that is the main difference. The difference is trust at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could not agree more, guys. If you don't have any other comments, I'll keep going. Some more comments, very interesting comments, very intense discussion. I want to make sure we get to comments first.
Hey, we got John Reed here.
We have John. Okay, so we are definitely going to touch on his comments as well. Once again, some more comments from Babalesh. So Jason is amazing. He is in the IT community, I guess, and the ERP. He is saying for companies like Oracle that are rolling with SaaS pricing models, inclusive of AI, will be able to sustain that pricing model in the long term. So first thing, Jason, I want to see is the contract terms, how they are structured from the AI perspective, because obviously there is a substantial risk. So I don't know how much they are going to be covering the basis, and I don't know who's going to be writing AI contracts. I'm not the one who's writing, I guess. So I don't know if you guys are going to have any comment on this, or I'll keep going.
Nobody's talking about the cost of AI, right? I mean, they're talking about all of the benefits, and the energy costs, the compute costs they're exploding right now, and all that is free, right? Because of the trillion or however many dollars that have been pumped into it. I don't think they can maintain a SaaS pricing model, but once they start putting pay-as-you-go AI costs into it, I think people are going to look twice and decide, do I really want to use it?
Yeah, well, to some extent, it depends. Look at Oracle. They have full control about what they are doing because they are mainly using their own models. So they just put it into the price tag, but they anyways charge. Yeah. Similar with Zoho. They have full control of their own models. They are developing their own models, and they, by the way, are not so much focusing on the double L. So they're using more specialized models traditionally. So, but again, they have full control, and it's fully priced in. Unless you choose to use an integration to OpenAI, and then you pay for that at OpenAI's terms. Whether you have a $20, a $200, or $2,000 then for yourself.
It's kind of like The printer comes with one cartridge, right? And then you have to buy the ink, and eventually you got to buy the AI ink.
Yeah.
Right. Whether they charge now or don't charge, they're going to charge if it makes sense. It has to be a chargeable item. I think some companies are saying it's included. Some are saying there's going to be a different version. But at some point, the rubber has to meet the road. It has to be a cost benefit pricing model. So
I've had horror stories of AI billing gone wild, where people have gone through their entire yearly budget because they were trying to do something that used a huge amount of compute power and didn't realize it.
I can see that, Shashi. So if you don't have any other comments, okay, let's go for some more. Okay, so we have okay. So Jason, I don't know if you're going to have any other follow-up comments. Make sure you input them. I don't think we have a lot of time right now, but we'll try to cover as many as we can. So okay, so Thomas, I think you have already covered that as part of your commentary. I'll keep going. Okay, Dan is here. Dan is part of the Info NetSuite ERP ecosystem. Follow him if you don't. Amazing guy. So here he's saying, isn't it possible to move all the millions of lines of code into the AI agent layer in the near future? And frankly, why would you do that anyway? Focus on building smart applications like Thomas said, but treat them like microservices. And that's the buzzword as well. I mean, hot topic, right? So they can be spot applications. Now, I mean, we are talking about moving of code. Code is, in my experience, easy part. The problem is always database and data integrity, and that's where the real challenges are. Any of the data applications, and when I say data applications, meaning transactional applications, there could be other data applications as well. They are not as tight overall from the governance business rules perspective. So they are slightly different. But when you talk about transactional applications, it's tricky, even with microservices. And we have seen scenarios where companies have struggled in sort of the whole, what is that called? Decomposable layer, I guess, right? They try to decompose pretty much everything inside e-commerce, and now they have no idea what's going on with the microservices layer, and building that orchestration engine became nightmare just because too many moving pieces, and reconciliation is going to be super hard, from the transactional applications perspective. So I don't know if you guys are going to have any comment on this one.
Sam, does this help ERP systems or take away, in your opinion?
Sorry, help ERP system, this particular comment?
Yep, or take away, in your opinion?
I don't know. Dan may be able to comment.
My thought is, don't you want as much inherent in the ERP application as possible? Adding ancillary transaction operations causes massive confusion. So, I mean, I'm okay if it happens inside the ERP applications, but don't you want to reduce your technology stack and have the ERP systems do as much as possible, modernize them? And if this is a component within, great. But I think it potentially adds confusion.
Yeah, so I guess AI agents are going to be built as part of the ERP system, but breaking that down into different microservices is probably not the best idea. And I think that's what you are trying to say.
Yep.
But then, that has to be one microservices, right? But then you are going to have millions of categories. So ERP is not everything.
Well, I think companies don't have that in order. So if that's not in order, how am I going to be? Do I leave that alone and put all my ducks into other categories like CRM or other things? Don't I want to focus on SEM, making that lean and mean? Don't I want to focus on IoT and grabbing that data? Don't I want to get all these things connected where my ERP is grabbing data and my operations are more modernized? Or do I want to start looking at all these ancillary things and say, hey, let's put our focus there, but I'm still not fixing my core? Just a thought.
Yeah, so
Thomas probably has some negative things to say or positive on that.
So I think what Dan wants to say is that going for an agentic layer is reminding of microservices.
Yep.
Because what you could say an agent is a microservice. It's an encapsulation of the concept of customer or whatever. So why did we go for that at that time, or why did we like it back in the day is because of microservices making applications composable. It means flexible, changeable, adaptable, agile, pick your buzzword, in order to be able to adapt to changing requirements. So this, from a conceptual point of view, doesn't really matter whether I do it with traditional software coding means or agent means. So, and this caters into your comment or your statement. Basically, do I want to optimize it? Of course I want to optimize it, and I can optimize it better in a changing world if I can recombine easily. There we are composable architecture. So we are basically driving the same old cow, to translate a German proverb, through the village. Just that it's looking different now. Now it's a pink cow and no more a purple one to allure to a brand of chocolate. So there I think, well, we are overhyping something again. The value is on the UI, on the interaction so far.
More comments on this one, or shall I keep going? I'll probably keep going unless you have. Okay. So some more comments. Zoho, I don't know if anybody's going to have comment on Zoho. I don't know which comment is that. I think Thomas responded for that. Thomas, you really have 4 agents running there in parallel.
Yeah, and I'm in the wrong session since John comments on mine and not on yours.
Some more comments here. Okay, so Robert has put his LinkedIn profile. Follow Robert. Obviously, we are going to post these links after the session as well, and that is posted as part of the announcements that we had done before. We have Muhammad Waris, I guess, right? Follow him. I don't know him. Connect with me and everybody on this panel. If you are not connected, I'd love to connect with you. Okay, Robert has Twitter. So some more comments from Frederick. Great reflections. I should have made my 2 comments in 1. So I don't know if he's agreeing, disagreeing, but it seems like he's enjoying the conversation at least. Okay, so some more comments from Jason. I appreciate Thomas's comments regarding the spectrum of solutions from probabilistic to deterministic. Again, never a one size fits all. I'm gonna have to agree with that. Anybody else have any comment on that? No? Okay, I'll keep going.
Why should I contradict him?
Agree with me and no contradiction, right? Okay, some more comments from Dan. Like Robert said, is a company on an on-premise ERP. Second, thirds are not cloud, going to trust AI agents when they know their data is really bad. And the agents on the cloud would be empowered to make decisions and execute autonomously on that bad data. Crazy!
This is independent of cloud and on-premises. Is it on-premise? I recently got corrected for writing on-premise. It's called on-premises, so yeah. I'm not a native speaker, so I'm glad that Dan apparently makes the same mistake, if it's a mistake. But in general, the problem is not that the ERP is not in the cloud or in the cloud. The problem is the data. So the second point is the key point here.
Yeah, Thomas, it's clouds, not cloud.
Not cloud with T at the end. That company is dead.
Yeah, Thomas, use ChatGPT. It's never wrong. I'm telling you this. All right. So if you don't have any other comment on this one, I'll keep moving. Okay, some more comments from Jason. A mainstream focus on HITL. What the hell is that?
Human in the loop feedback.
What is that?
Human in the loop feedback.
Okay, and describe that. I don't know how many people are going to know about that.
So when the AI models, since they're not always right, you want to be able to improve them. So AI applications build into the application the ability for a human to, the most basic is thumbs up, thumbs down. The more mature is be able to change the semantic layer to be able to provide feedback to the model. Third layer is the ability to have somebody on the admin side and subject matter expert be able to make priorities out of the different human in the loop feedback that comes in. So it's all about improving the accuracy of the model.
Man, that sounds very convincing. Everybody okay with that, or any disagreements?
This is at least what the vendors are making us believe.
Okay,
I mean, where are at the end of the day, the whole talk is about efficiency. What does efficiency mean? Get the human out of the loop. Make it cheaper, faster. So get the human out of the loop. This is what many buyers that I talk to interpret. They want to have it faster, cheaper. So get the human out, automate it.
And I don't think that we're going to get the human out of the loop, which is why you have human in the loop feedback. You need somebody to come in and make judgments based on what is happening, because you can't be 100% accurate at this time. And so you may not eliminate them, but today we're asking the question, where do you insert AI into the business processes? In a few years, we're going to be asking, where do you insert the human?
Yeah, I agree.
The human will come out of the loop more, but they're still going to be in the loop.
Well, that's Industry 5.0, guys, right? That's the interaction of humans and robots. Industry 4.0, Thomas, you spent a lot of time talking about smart, applications or smart factories as a component of that. But as we continue to go down the path, Industry 5.0 is going to be a huge deal where the humans moderate the robots. That's kind of what John's saying.
Yeah, I fully agree. So I didn't say that they will not get a rude awakening. So there is some over-optimism in the place as well. Yeah. And look at where efficiency brings one. We had it in the 20s, then we had it, 2021, then we had it 22 when this evergreen freighter blocked the Suez Canal. Efficiency is not a means in itself or an end. It's probably the wrong matrix if solely used.
All right, guys, so we have just 1 minute right now, and we are going to have hard stop at 12. We cannot go anymore. I know that we wanted to cover probably 10 stories. We would cover only 2, so we are probably going to have to meet again. And maybe meet more frequently, and I don't know if the show is working. I would love to hear from the audience. If you guys love it, we would love to create this weekly show. If we have confirmation from everybody, I guess that's what we are looking for. The show is for you. We need to do closing super fast. So if you are going to have any sort of closing thoughts, everybody, as well as any plug that you might have, I'll start with Shashi. What can I start with Thomas, because he has to drop. He has hard stop, and we can probably,
Well, big fun, good conversation, great points from the audience as well. So it's always good to be able to have one's own thoughts challenged. Although, and I only speak from myself, although I suspect that we are quite similar there, we have strong opinions. And of course we are right. Of course.
Always.
So that's good stuff, and well, we should do that more often. Good. Okay. See you then. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining, Thomas. Shashi, I know we are going to do a little jumping, but you can go next probably.
Yeah, this was a great conversation, and I learned from my fellow panelists and from the audience too. So thank you for having me, Sam.
Of course, Shashi. Thank you. John, do you want to go next?
No more comments for me. Thanks for joining. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's keep the conversation going.
Okay, Robert.
And likewise, this was very nice. The conversation was fabulous. Sam, thanks for putting it together, and we look forward to next time. And the comments from the guests were fantastic.
Okay, amazing, guys. And I know that we probably have a million comments that we need to respond to. So all of us are going to be very active on the show, and we are going to be responding to your comments. We would appreciate if you could provide any sort of follow-up, any feedback that you have. We are always looking for that. But again, as of right now, this show is planned every second Thursday of every month. But we are going to do a little survey with our analysts. If everybody is interested in meeting every week, we would love to do that. I think this is a very interesting show, and I think this is everybody's going to appreciate that. So once again, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.